Good evening, class. Today we'll cover the last and final topic of the GEC, last HTML unit. That is, now we have discussed all the elements of the form. Now we discuss how we basically send the data from a form. To send the data from the form, we need a button, more particularly the submit button, to submit the data to the server. On pressing this submit button, what will happen is that the data would be sent to the URL specified with the action attribute of the form tag, and it would be sent in a manner such that firstly we'll have the action URL, question mark, the names of the different fields and their values. Each of the names and value pairs are separated by an and symbol. So whatever fields are there in the form, say for example the first was a text box named person name or p name, so my data that would be sent would be URL, question mark, person name, and whatever the value the user types, say for instance DC. So the value DC would be assigned to the person name, and it will be sent as the form data. If we are using the get method, the data would be sent as it is appended to the URL. If we are using the post method, then also the data is sent in the same format, but the the name and value pairs are sent separately from the URL. To see working examples of post and get method, you can try these two links and you can look at how the data is sent in the URL. For the get method, you can see that the data is actually sent in this manner, but for the post method we won't be able to see this because the data this data is sent more securely. Now the submit button is created using the input tag only. The input type equal to submit is used and value equal to button caption. So whatever I write in the value attribute would be appearing on the button. So that is why I have written button caption. It would be the actual text you want to display on the button. Let's take an example. If the value parameter is not specified, in that case the button text will be submit. Let's take an example here. We have the complete form with the name field, then a checkbox wherein you select the state, and after that the different radio buttons for your marital status. Then you have the submit buttons. For sending, you have the type equal to submit, value equal to send. We also have another button, input type equal to reset, value is equal to erase fields. This is another special type of button, but for now let us consider on the submit button. So we have used type equal to submit, value equal to send. So on the button send would be written, which is this button will be used for submitting the form. The second type of button, where the type is reset, is used for basically resetting the values of the form fields to their default values or to clear them if there were no default values. So the form would look something like this. The text box for the name, then simple checkbox, then a drop down list for the states, then the radio buttons, and lastly for sending we have the send button, and erase fields button is the reset button. So once you click on the send button, the data is sent to the URL specified in the action, and you can see the method is post, so you will not be able to see the different values being sent appended to the URL, but with the get method you can see that the values are appended to the URL after the question mark. Okay. Now we come back to the reset field. So the basic, I've already told you the meaning of the reset button. The input tag is used for the reset button, where type equal to reset and value is basically used to denote the button caption. If it is not specified, the button text will be reset. So this basically erases anything that the user has typed up till now in the form. Now next, if I want to create multiple forms on the same web page, yes, we can do that. We only need to use multiple form and /form tags. Now here is an example of a form. The forms are basically full-fledged, like this is a feedback form of the book. So forms look something like this, wherein you are asked to enter text or maybe select from a drop down list and select radio buttons, leave your comments and everything. Now up till now, whatever forms we saw, we just saw how the fields are created. Sometimes you see that the text box comes on the same line as the previous text box, or the text area came on the same line as the previous text box. It did not came on a new line. So by default there is no formatting between the text fields. The text usually starts where the previous one ends, or the width of the screen ends. So it moves from left to right till the window has space, and what we see are not very good looking forms. So to format the forms, we have two options. That is, either we can use the pre command or we can use tables. Now the pre command is basically a technique which allows us to enclose the commands. Basically it allows us to keep the pre-formatted text. That is, whatever you have written in the HTML page, the same format would be displayed on the web page. So pre command is displayed in a fixed width font, that is, all the letters have the same width. So you can simply add spaces, so the pre-formatted text would be displayed on the screen. Say, let us take an example. Here we have created in the body tag two fields, the address field and the city field. In the first case, you can see we have written address colon input type text, name equal to name, value equal to blank, size equal to 40, max length 0, and break. Similarly for city. So you can see when this appears on the web page, it appears something like address and the text box. Since city has fewer characters than address, its text box started at slightly early than the text box started for address. So it's not looking very good. I would have preferred that the text box started here. Both the text box would have been aligned. To do that, I use the pre tag. The pre tag, I just write address colon the same tag, input type text, name, value, size and max length. Then I use the br tag, which basically forces me my next text to go on the next line. Then I have used city, and then I have given these spaces so that these two colons are on the same line or in the same column, and then I gave the input tag. So even in the output, this spaces are preserved, and we write city, the spaces, and then the text box. So one of the ways is that you use the pre command, but the problem with pre tag is that it is a little difficult to do when the form has multiple fields. So we move on to a more versatile technique, that is, we use tables. That is, the form fields are now embedded inside the table tags. So here you can see an example wherein I create a form. And now we, to create this form, form aligned in tables with border. Here I have taken a table with 1 2 3 4 columns and 3 rows. So the first column we give the text, in the second column the text box come, in the third column again text labels of the text boxes, and then in the fourth column we have the text boxes themselves. So basically we first create a table. We create a table row. In the row, the first data is the name, then there is a input type equal to text for the text box, then next TD is position, the next TD would be again a text box. Here we have this example. We have table border equal to 1. So now this table has a border. If I do not want the border would be equal to 0. So for the first row, as I told you, we start with a TR to indicate the table row. The first cell TD is name. Then we have TD input type equal to text, name equal to name, and then slash TD. Then TD position for the third column, and for the fourth column again we have a text box. So sizes, I have given the sizes of the text box. The first text box is 40 characters long, whereas the second text box is smaller, 20 characters long. For the second line, the first column is going to contain address, then text box. The third column is going to contain city, and the fourth one, the text box. So we have the next row, TR, TD address, TD input type equal to text, then TD city, then TD input type equal to text again. Here you can see the size of the first text box is 40, while that of the second one is 30. You can see in the picture also. The last row has zip, text box, state, text box. Similarly here, TR, TD zip, TD type equal to text, TD state, then TD type equal to text, and you close the TR and the table tab. So this creates the first section of the form. Similarly, you can create other form elements. The next one is quite similar. It's just that we do not have a border. So here table would be with border equal to 0. In the next one, the table also, apart from having a border, has a background color. The code for that would be border equal to 1, okay, and background color, BG color, is equal to cyan. So with this we end the forms, but to be very honest, the complete discussion of the form is nothing without server-side programming languages which handle the form data, such as Perl, PHP, JavaScript. But in the HTML section, we only have to create the forms. We do not have how to handle the form data in our course. But for better understanding, or if you want to use it in real life examples, you can always learn JavaScript or PHP. They're easy to learn languages.